Hello children, welcome to our English lesson today. In today's lesson we're going to continue to look at the fabulous poem we began to read yesterday, Instructions by Neil Gaiman. Yesterday you had to look at how to write some command sentences for the main character in the poem, Puss, to give to the 12 months of the year, who were creatures who sat around a fire swapping stories. And I was thrilled, year two, with everything that you produced. There were some absolutely brilliant sentences sent in to me. Well done. Let me give you some examples, and I'll explain that I was so impressed with them because what you did was you linked what happens in a particular month with your instructions. So let me tell you some of the sentences that were sent in. We had things like, don't let January give you a cold. Tell February that you love her and give her a hug. Listen carefully to September as she tells you about the falling leaves. Watch out for October because she might trick you into giving her more treats. So can you see how in those sentences, those commands, the people that wrote them linked what happens in a particular month to the instruction? So, for example, in January, it's always cold and you might catch a cold. So, don't let January give you a cold. In February, we think about love and hugs. So, mention of love and hugs in the instruction because it's Valentine's Day. September's when the leaves start to fall, and obviously October is where we go trick-or-treating at Halloween. So, well done, children, for linking those ideas together. Really, really impressed with you. Now in today's lesson, we're going to listen to the rest of the poem. Now I'm not going to read it to you because I think you're probably fed up of my voice. So I've put a link on our remote learning page to Neil Gaiman reading this poem in a little video. And there's some beautiful, beautiful illustrations. So you get to see the pictures in the poem as well. So click on that link and listen to it. While you're listening, I want you to think, does this poem reminds me of any of the stories, because I'm going to ask you to make some text-to-text connections. Now, text-to-text connections just means, well, when I hear this, I also think of another story that I've read. So, for example, when we looked at Finding Winnie last November, I thought straight away, it's about a bear that comes to England and is very friendly with humans, and I thought of Paddington Bear. Now, I wouldn't be thinking of that in this poem because there's no bears and it's not about bears coming to England. But there are lots of fairy tale characters and also other clues that might make you think of other stories. In particular, think about the Land of Winter. Is there a story where it's always winter? You might want to think about cats in stories. You might want to think about old women who might be a bit scary, which is that kind of thing. Are there any stories that have princesses and castles in? Is there anything you can think of? There are some prompts on one of the pages in the PDF file that you can read to give you some ideas. Then I'd like you to talk to your grown-up and then make a list for me. I have put a writing sheet for you to use, but you can just write on paper. There's absolutely no need to print anything. Now, after you've done that, I'm going to ask you to think about one part of the poem. And this is the part where Puss is told not to knock on the door of the house, the one that's got the imp door knocker in case it bites him. Well, imagine if Puss ignored that instruction and knocked on the door and went inside. I wonder what he might find inside. I think there might be some more instructions for him. And I'm wondering what those instructions might say. Now, in class, this would be our brainstorm activity before you did your writing task. So we're going to brainstorm now. So, I would imagine that inside a magic house there'd be things like maybe a cloak, there might be a chest, there might be a wand, there might be a black cat because we might think about black cats and magic, might even be a broom. And I'm going to look at those pictures, and you've got them in the PDF file as well, and think, what instruction might Puss be given about those particular objects? So, he might be told to hang up your cloak. He might be told to leave his magic wand somewhere, maybe in the old chest that's in the corner. He might be told to look out for a black cat, or maybe avoid a black cat. That means don't go near it. He might be told to take his boots off if he's been outside. He might be told to stay quiet or to make lots of noise. He might be told not to leave any mess behind him. He might be told to tell everybody or nobody about what he sees in the house. So I've come up with some instructions that Puss might be given if he went into the house. And these are my instructions. They're based on the pictures you'll see in the PDF file. If your boots are muddy, remove them before taking one step further. Hang up your cloak. Leave all magic wands in the old chest in the corner. If you spot a black cat in the hallway, do not cross its path. Never open a door that's closed. Make no noise. Leave no trail, and tell no one about what you see. Now, my sentences have got lots of those features of instruction sentences that we looked at yesterday. They're short and sharp. There's not lots of fairy tale language or description in them. I mentioned an old chest, but that might be because that's what it is and it would distinguish it from a new chest that might be there. I address my instructions to the reader. I'm telling Puss what to do. I've got lots and lots of bossy verbs. Hang up, remove, leave, verbs like that. And I've listed things that he shouldn't do. So, make no noise, leave no trail, tell no one what you see. So, I've come up with my instructions and I've used all those features that we looked at. And do you remember yesterday we talked about how sometimes the bossy verb isn't always right at the beginning of the sentence? And on a couple of my sentences, I've moved my bossy verb because I've put a phrase in front of it. If you spot a black cat, do not cross its path. If your boots are muddy, take them off. So I want you to think about how I've structured my sentences, what I've said, how I've ordered them. And everything I've just said to you now is also in the PDF file, so you can read about it as well. And then my task for you today is to write your own set of rules, not for Puss going into the house, but for somebody that might go into a special place for you. It could be your bedroom, it could be your playroom, it could be your tree house. And I want you to think about what you would say to somebody that comes in. Think about the important things to you. What do you want them to touch? What don't you want them to touch? Can they bring food in? Are they allowed to sit down on anything? What happens if they touch something? Are the things they can't touch? So I want you to talk to your grown-up about the kind of things that you would want somebody to do or not do in your special place. What would you be upset about if it got broken? Can they sit on your bed, sit on your chair, touch your computer, anything like that? So think about those things. Make a list and then you're going to turn them into a set of instructions. And I'd really like it if you could add a little bit more detail by not always putting the imperative verb at the beginning. That's okay for a couple of your sentences, but maybe you could put a phrase in front of the imperative verb, and maybe you could do a list sentence. So let me give you my examples of my instructions for my special place, which is my study. It's where I've got all my books. Close the door behind you, otherwise the cat might escape. That's because my cat likes to sleep in my study. Don't touch any of my books. If you bring a drink or food with you, take care not to spill anything. Don't drop crumbs on the floor. Remove all dirty cups and plates when you leave. And that's because if my children come into my study, they sometimes bring a cup of tea with them and then they leave it there. Above all else, take off your shoes so you don't leave muddy footprints on the carpet. So I want you to come up with at least 5 instructions for somebody that is coming into your special place. Check each sentence is a command sentence because it's got an imperative verb in it. Use your correct punctuation. Try to put your bossy verbs in different places, and remember you can put exclamation marks at the end of some of your command sentences. So I'd like to see 1, maybe 2 exclamation marks as well. There's a word bank to help you, and I can't wait to see what you do. For children that are normally in Read Write Ink groups, I've also provided a writing frame to help you. So have a look through the PDF files. For my English group, it's under English. If you're in a Read Write Ink group, it's under the Read Write Ink banner heading. Can't wait to see what you do, so please send lots of photos to me. Have a great day. Bye, Year 2.